I'm tired, oh, of playing these games. You promise you change, bright like a diamond. A man who loves our life inside your eyes.
It's good to see you kind of like become a star in front of our eyes.
All about lyrics. It was all about the feeling. And it was phenomenal.
Here's LaPortia Renae.
You better get it together and act like you know that you do. 'Cause I'm a real good woman. But even good women go bad when they go through what you put me through.
We are so happy to have you at Build. How are you doing now that the album is out? How do you feel?
I feel, I don't know. I think I was anxious before the album came out, and then as soon as it dropped, I'm like, oh. But I'm excited. I'm excited. I've been getting some really like nice, cool feedback from it. So.
Well, it's pretty awesome. It's
Thank
your
you.
debut album, and it's it's been about a year or so in the making, I guess. I mean, at what point did you start saying, okay, this is what I want this album to look like, sound like?
I'm very inclusive when it comes to like my fans, and because y'all are the ones that helped me get to where I am in the first place. So I'm really attached, and so before we even started working on the album, I asked my fans, I was like, what kind of album do you see me making? And they were like, I kind of see you singing like a little bit of everything, dab here, dab there. So we tried to incorporate that, and it was really like a reintroduction of myself. Because there were some things on the show that I couldn't really, explain about myself, or I couldn't really be. So it was like, giving fans a little bit more candid version of myself through the album. And a lot of my influences come through the album as well. So different artists that I grew up listening to and grew up admiring come through the music, so.
It is a mix. This is R&B, there's funk, there's pop. It's really
Right.
a range, that's for sure. So speaking of influences, who were some of the influences on this record?
Prince, Michael Jackson, Celine Dion, Whitney Houston, a little bit of Beyonce, Tina Turner. I'm an old school baby, so I loved, like Patti, Aretha, Peebo Bryson, Michael Bolton. So those were my influences, and you kind of hear a little bit of each in the album. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And, for someone like you said, you were on Idol, and there were some things that you said you couldn't really express about yourself there. What are the things specifically that you're able to say with this album that maybe you couldn't really express about yourself on, a show like Idol?
Well, so Idol wanted to really emphasize on my backstory. And for those of you who don't know, my backstory was that I am a survivor of domestic violence. So a lot of times, like most of the shows, would kind of hint toward that or hit on that. And it's kind of tricky and funny because I'm a really bubbly person. I laugh all the time. I joke. I laugh at things that's not even funny. But I couldn't show that side of me because they're like, we want to talk about this. And anytime I'm talking about that, of course, I'm not laughing or. So it was kind of difficult to show that side. But with the album, there's a lot of funk. There's a lot of fun, records on it. So it shows a little bit more of like the colorful side of my personality than just dark, gloomy, so.
Yeah, well, I think we saw a bit of that too on the show, especially when you performed live. I mean, it was really phenomenal. I mean, you made the judges cry, so and the audience members too, just watching the show. Looking back on that experience, what's the biggest thing you learned?
I think the biggest thing I learned was how deep of an impact I had on different people, because I came into Idol like, I'm just trying to make it to the next round. I'm just trying to sing. I'm just trying to, find a song that fits my voice vocally and that I could somewhat relate to. But I think a very defining moment on there was No More Drama. And after that night, me sharing the moment with J-Lo the way I did, and then with men, women, children alike reaching out to me saying, I know someone who's been through that, or I've been through that, or, women telling me, because of you, I think I'm going to try and get out this year. That's when it was like, whoa, it's not about the competition at all. It's about who you touch, who you inspire. So I think that's what I learned, that there's a bigger picture, to everything.
So even though, you have that fun, bubbly personality, and American Idol did focus on that backstory, it seems like you really that was part of what really impacted your fans at the same time. So in a way, it's a good thing that do you feel like you're still helping people? Do you still get the reaction from fans?
I mean, yeah, I could everywhere I go, I meet people who are like, you inspired me, you touched me so much, so it's still impactful, but I don't want them to waddle in that, like I don't want you or me to be defined by, what we go through. I want, more than anything, I think it's very powerful to show the abuser, or, even if that wasn't your situation, just, to show your circumstances, or to show your unfortunes that, hey, you didn't break me. I got out, I'm living, I'm happy. Mm-hmm. So I try to, implement more of that. Yeah.
You were the runner-up. You didn't win,
right.
Which is a lot of people's disappointment. Do you think that sort of charged you in the direction of like even more success now, like because you were the runner-up? Like, I got to even prove myself even more at this point?
Yeah, I think it left me a little hungry. It was like having breakfast without the meat portion. Like I was like, something's missing. I'm not done, So I think it left, but I think what happened was supposed to happen that way. Yeah. Trent was awesome. He worked very hard. All of us worked really, really hard, during the show. And I mean, it kind of worked out because I don't really think I would have had as much creative control as I've been blessed to have. I don't think I would have, been able to kind of, not all the way freely, but a little bit more freely than if I would have took the title, express myself. So I think it worked out. I think.
With this record, do you feel as though some of your own experiences are reflected within the songs? And if so, what are they, and what are you trying to say?
Yeah, I mean, every song on there is definitely something personal, and I mean, if it's not personal, I don't do it. If I can't relate, there's no sense in singing it. It's just like, I relate to all of them, and I did a lot of dedications. So in my booklet, I dedicated certain songs to certain causes. Like I dedicated Cover Up to domestic violence victims and survivors and victims of PTSD and rape trauma. So, and I dedicated Breathe to victims of anxiety, severe anxiety. I dedicated Stay to my high school sweetheart. I just made it very personal, and I wanted to do that because that was my way of, you guys getting to know me a little bit more, because there are certain things that I deal with, like PTSD and anxiety, that people didn't know, and it's not really talked about. And especially, sometimes when you say, oh, I deal with severe depression or I deal with severe anxiety, they're like, it's very undermined, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're like, that's not really a thing. People who don't really go through it, but so I just wanted to bring awareness, and most importantly, I wanted people to know that, even people like me go through that. Like we're never in such a high place to where that stuff can't reach us, and so I wanted to, let I care about my fans. My fans are like, fam. So I like for them to know that, hey, you've got somebody on your side, and you got somebody going through what you're going through. So I can relate, and we could help each other. Because fans really, they, on the show, y'all did more for me than, I did for you, I feel like. on the show, I was seen to be very confident and sassy. Oh, that's the big diva with the big hair and this and that. And to be honest, I wasn't. I wasn't at all confident. I was self-conscious about like my body. I was self-conscious about my hair because it's not really, you don't see this every day, So I'm like self-conscious about all of that. And I had people reaching out and saying, thank you for being so confident in yourself. Thank you for being so comfortable. And so I took that and I'm like, oh my goodness, they like it. So yeah, it's an exchange of love, an exchange of energy, I think.
Well, I think you were you on that show.
Right.
I mean, I really think you were. I mean, and bringing your daughter to the
Yeah.
audition and throughout the season and throughout the series, what was that like for her and for you as, mother-daughter bonding?
You know what? I think my daughter thinks she's the famous one and I'm the groupie. Because anytime I do lives or anything like that, she will take over. She sings my song. She's singing Good Woman. I'm like, child, you ain't been through none of that yet. Like, you don't know. Like my daughter's very just, I don't even think she realizes, who I am. But one thing about it, especially when she was younger, now she's getting her own little personality and stuff, but when she was younger, the only thing that would keep her quiet is watching me on stage. So we would play the videos over and over, and she learned to sing it. So my daughter's, I think she's living it up, but I don't think she really knows what's going on.
Yeah, not yet. Soon.
Not
Then
yet.
she's going to look back on all the videos.
And
the
I
album
can't wait
cover.
for that, because that's I think one of the most important things to me is that she's proud of me and who I am and what I did for us. So
That's really incredible. So Good Woman is the lead single off the record. We heard it right before we were coming on here.
Right.
It's like in the clip. So what can you tell us about that song and why that one's special?
So Good Woman is special because on the show, my fans cried when I cried. They laughed when I laughed, and they were pissed. They were pissed that I went through what I went through. And when I asked, well, what kind of album should you make? They were like, you need to speak to that guy that you're talking about. You need to speak to your ex-husband. I didn't want to put that much energy towards that. I just wanted to move on. But I realized that we kind of needed that closure. So Good Woman is like that closure song. It's like an empowerment anthem for women. And I just wanted to give us that moment of empowerment and really just make you feel good. It makes you feel good, even if it's just a vent. You sing that song and you're like, okay, I think I can make it through the day now. So
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it is.
Do you have a favorite on the record?
It depends on the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it changes. So I'm really attached to Cover Up, but I'm also really attached to Already, because I grew up in Raceland, Louisiana. So Already reminds me of that New Orleans bounce type, feel. So it brings back a lot of good memories of me trying to dance.
Well, you were singing in your mom's shop, right? At a very
I
young
was.
age, 5, 6 years old, right? A little older than your daughter.
I
but-
was, yeah.
So what is it like? Do you remember doing that, or what was the first time you remembered that?
I do remember doing that because afterwards I was hired on. She made me come in her shop and sing for her clients, and I hated it because I was, I wasn't really thinking, oh, I want to be a singer at that time. I actually wanted to be a teacher growing up. So, and I didn't sound that great. I watched the tapes. She was lying. So, but that's it. She just kept pushing, and all my aunts and uncles, girl, go, girl, you know how they do, But as I got older, I found certain colors in my voice and started playing around with things, and I'm like, I could probably, make a living out of this. So. Yeah.
And how many years later, here we are.
Here
on
we
the stage
are.
of Bill, right? It's pretty amazing.
My peers, my classmates are tripping out because I always said, I'm going to be on that show. You just watch, And I said it with confidence, but not really believing it at the same time, but it happened, so.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy because a lot of people were growing up during that time, and
Right.
you were young enough to actually see the show from its infancy and actually be
Right.
a fan of the show.
Right.
So, and now being only in your early 20s, it's like you were a kid really when you were watching it.
I was a kid.
Yeah.
And it was, Y'all, during finale week, like all of the idols came back. Everybody. You had Fantasia, Jay Hood, Clay Aiken, Bo Bice, Carrie Underwood. I'm like, I voted for you. I voted for you too. Oh my God. Oh my God. So it was, just crazy. And what the crazier part was, they're like, we are huge fans of yours. I'm like, no, do you know who you are? So it was really nice seeing like all of my idols and being on a show and closing out a show that I grew up on. It was I can't even describe that. It was a lot of pressure too, because we were like, me and Trent, we would always have these conversations. We were like, we gotta like show up and show out. This is the last show. Like, it was kind of on our shoulders a little bit. You don't want to end the show, bad. So
It's kind of crazy. There was some reports that there is a chance that it could come back in a new version. What do you think about that?
I say more power to it. I mean, I think I'm interested to see like what kind of changes they would make and how much better it would be than the last one, and how it would compete with The Voice.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we're in a different time. It launched in
Right.
the early 2000s, 2001, 2002.
Right.
So we're in a different time right now. So that would be interesting. Okay, I want to keep you here for a little bit longer, if that's okay, and get some questions from the fans out here.
Yeah.
Hey, LaPortia.
Hey.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Congrats on the release.
Thank you.
What was the importance of the track order for you? Was it really significant or not?
The track order was very significant because I like to tell a story and I look at the whole thing. Like you can't just, I know nowadays like people don't really do albums, they do a lot of singles or just but I wanted the album to tell a story, and so the order was very important. I was like, and I think the ones I struggled with was Hideout, No Problem, Up in That Area, When in Rome, Breathe. I'm like, When in Rome, I let off a lot of heat, so I need a song that's gonna, kind of calm things down. So Breathe goes there. And then after Breathe, I think is No Problem. So No Problem is like, okay, weight lifted off my shoulders, and then already. So it's very important. And then toward the beginning of the album is kind of like all the moody stuff, all the, kind of sulky stuff. And then toward the end of the album is really fun, funky, coming up out of it, new love, new outlook on love, all of that. So I wanted to tell a story. I wanted to, take people on a journey. So
Cool. Really tells a story. Okay.
yeah.
Hi, LaPortia.
Hi.
I was wondering, as someone who's gotten feedback on a very public platform, what advice do you have for people who are getting criticism?
Criticism like through social media? Or-
No, of like your art.
Oh, it's there to criticize. I say criticize away. It is. That's the thing that I don't think. Most artists realize that. Like it kind of comes with the territory. I would never. One thing I love is, and I try to be as personal with my fans as possible. So I do Facebook Live a lot. And one thing I always say on the videos, if we're talking about topics or we're talking about my album or a performance that I did, don't be afraid to say, I ain't really like that. I'm not gonna get mad at you, and I don't allow people on the site to then go and cyberbully you and all of that, because it doesn't make sense. If you don't like this, you're allowed to. I'm a diehard fan of Prince. I do not like everything I don't even understand everything he put out. So it's the same thing. And I'm the kind of person, I like honesty. I like transparency. So Come Together was the perfect idea of that. So I went and I had this black cat suit. I probably shouldn't have done it. But at the time, I'm like, I look hot, yeah. And then people were like, you tore that up. You tore the song up, but I don't think you should have wore that. I didn't get mad. I'm like, you know what? Maybe not. Okay. So society kind of makes you feel like you can't have an opinion about anything. And I'm not that kind of artist. Critique away. If you say, you don't need to do that no more, I'm not saying I'm going to agree with everything you say, but I'm not going to get mad about it. It's art. Art is meant to be critiqued and evaluated and dug into. So I say don't take it personal at all. They're critiquing your art. They don't know you to critique you. So they're critiquing your art. So always remember that.
All right, we got one last question here.
Hi, LaPortia. My name's Chanel. I just wanted to ask you, because underneath all of that beautiful hair and those amazing eyes, you just seem so shy. But when you hit the stage, it's like you transform and you're so bold. So I wanted to know, where do you draw that inspiration from when you sing?
You know what? It's really weird because I feel like an outcast and I feel like I don't really belong anywhere. I feel like I was born in the wrong time, as you can tell by my fro. I'm like, I should have been born like 20, 30 years ago. No, like, and my favorite TV show is Little House on the Prairie. When I tell people that, they're just like, catch up, Portia, catch up. So I think on the stage, when I get on stage, it feels like home. Music is timeless. So, I feel as close to where I belong on stage as possible. So on stage, it's just like, all right, and it's very comfortable. And more than that, it's an energy thing. So the process of like performing and everything is really deep. It's not really just like I sing and you decide whether or not you like it. As soon as I walk on stage, the energy that I get from you guys is what pushes me. So if you're like, oh, snap, I'm like, all right, I got to show out. They want to show, So it's like that. So I say all the time, like audiences and fans, they don't know how much they mean. They're super important. Without you guys, it just doesn't work. I could come on stage, and if you're quiet as a mouse, I'm pretty much quiet as a mouse too. So that's where it comes from. It just comes from the energy that you guys give me. So.
Well, thank you for that last question, and thank you so much for coming by today.
Thank you.
You got the album. It's called Already. It's out right now, and give it up one more time for LaPortia Renae.
Thank you.